All right, let's talk about Stoicism. And I promise this isn't going to be some dusty old history lesson. Think of it more like a practical and actually really modern toolkit for dealing with, well, all the chaos of life. This is about a mindset that's been battle-tested for thousands of years, and you can start using it like today.
But first, I want you to just take a second and really imagine this. Picture everything you have, your job, your savings, your home, gone, just vanished in one single terrible moment. What do you do? I mean, where do you even start to pick up the pieces? This isn't just some random thought experiment. It's the actual disaster that kicked off this entire way of thinking.
So meet Zeno of Citium. Around 300 BC, this guy was a seriously successful merchant, living the good life. Then one day, bam, a shipwreck destroys his entire cargo, his whole fortune. He ends up stranded in Athens with absolutely nothing. But here's the crazy part. Instead of just giving up, he wanders into a bookshop, gets completely hooked on philosophy, and ends up creating his own school of thought. And this is so important. Stoicism wasn't dreamed up in some quiet, comfy library. It was forged in the fire of a real-life crisis.
Okay, now we're getting to the absolute heart of it. This next idea, it's probably the single most important concept in all of Stoicism. It's a simple but powerful framework that can honestly change the way you see the world and massively reduce your anxiety.
The Stoics basically split everything in life into two buckets, things that are up to us and things that are not. Simple, right? But the secret is in that second list. Just look at what's on it. Your body. You can work out every day and still get sick. Your reputation. You can be the nicest person in the world and someone might still trash talk you. The outcome of a project. You can pour your heart and soul into it, but some external thing can still make it fail. The Stoics said that almost all of our frustration and misery comes from trying to control that second column. So the life hack is to pour 100% of your energy into the first column, your opinions, your choices, your efforts, because that's the only place your true power is.
And you know, no one understood this better than the philosopher Epictetus. I mean, think about it. This guy was born a slave. He literally knew what it was like to have almost zero control over his external world. And yet he became one of the most famous Stoic teachers ever. He realized that true freedom wasn't about his physical chains. It was about mastering his own mind. The one thing nobody could ever take away from him.
The Stoics had this perfect metaphor for this idea, the archer. So picture an archer. What can she actually control? Well, she can practice for years, she can pick the very best bow and arrow, she can aim with perfect focus and form. All of that is completely up to her. But the second she lets that arrow fly, her control is over. A sudden gust of wind could come up, the target could move, anything could happen. So should she judge herself on whether she hits the bullseye? The Stoics would say, absolutely not. She should judge herself on her effort, on the quality of her shot. The outcome is, and always was, out of her hands.
You know, when we hear the word Stoic today, we usually picture someone who's totally emotionless, maybe a little cold and detached, kind of like a robot. But that is a huge misunderstanding of what this philosophy is all about. So let's fix that right now and look at what actually guides a Stoic in their daily life.
So the Stoics were after something called apatheia. Now, it looks a lot like our word apathy, but it's pretty much the exact opposite. It doesn't mean feeling nothing. It means not being hijacked by destructive emotions. Think about it like this. You get cut off in traffic. That initial surge of anger, that's totally normal. But apatheia is the state where you don't let that anger take the wheel. You don't start screaming or tailgating the other car. You just notice the feeling, acknowledge it, and then let it go, keeping your inner peace. It's all about staying clear-headed, even when life is throwing nonsense at you.
So how do you actually do that? Well, you use these 4 virtues as your guide. They're like a moral compass for everything you do. Practical wisdom helps you see situations clearly. Courage isn't just about being a hero in a battle, it's about having the strength to do the right thing every day. Justice is simple, treat people fairly. And temperance is all about balance and self-control. For a Stoic, living a good life just meant practicing these 4 things day in and day out.
Okay, so we've got the dichotomy of control, and we've got the 4 virtues as a compass. But how does this actually work in our messy, real lives where we're juggling a million different things at once? Well, the Stoics had a really cool way of looking at this. They saw life as a kind of play, and each of us as actors playing a bunch of different roles. I mean, think about your day. You might be a parent in the morning, an employee during the day, a friend in the evening, and a child when you call your mom. Some of these roles we're born into, like being a son or a daughter. Others we choose, like our job. The Stoics said our goal isn't to be a perfect actor, but just to play every single role we have with integrity, to the absolute best of our ability. And this is really where it all comes together. Because the one thing you carry with you into every single role is your character, your integrity. And Epictetus put it so perfectly here. That's the most valuable thing you own. So the point isn't to be flawless, it's just to show up as a friend, as a coworker, as a citizen, and try to act with a little bit of wisdom, courage, and fairness. That is what you can control.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This stuff works in the real world, under the most extreme conditions imaginable. You have Epictetus, a slave, who found total freedom in his own mind while his body was literally in chains. Then you have Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on the planet, using Stoicism in his private journal to get through wars and plagues. And then, centuries later, you have Nelson Mandela, reading that exact same journal in a prison cell, using it to overcome hatred and guide an entire country. From the very bottom of society to the very top, this philosophy has been a lifeline.
And that brings us to one last, really profound Stoic idea. It's about the one thing that's definitely not in our control, but that we spend so much of our lives worrying about: death. And the Stoics, well, they had a pretty unique take on it. They turned it from something to be afraid of into something that can motivate us.
The famous phrase is memento mori, remember that you will die. Now I know that sounds super morbid, right? But it's actually the opposite. It's meant to be clarifying. If you really, truly remembered your time was limited, would you waste it on stupid arguments? Would you put off doing the things that matter? This constant, gentle reminder isn't about being gloomy. It's a tool to get you to focus on what's important. Right here, right now.
The Roman Stoic Seneca he hit the nail on the head with this one. So much of our anxiety, so much of our fear, it isn't about what's actually happening to us. It's about the crazy, worst-case scenarios we invent in our own heads about the future. Stoicism is all about pulling our focus out of those imaginary nightmares and grounding it back in the present moment, which is the only place we can ever actually do anything.
So in the end, the Stoics saw life as a kind of loan from the universe. It's something we get to have for a while, but eventually we have to give it back, and we should do so without complaining. It's a really powerful way to think about it. It's not about clinging to life out of fear. It's about using the time you have with a sense of purpose and gratitude. And so the question it leaves us with is this: knowing that this loan will one day be recalled, are you making it a life well lived?